So when it comes around to about 4 o'clock and everyone starts getting their makeup bags out and touching up their foundation, maybe adding a little bit more blusher, some more mascara and that kind of thing, I tend to just sit there because I don't ever really touch my makeup up during the day. I obviously touch up things that can't be helped, like powder and maybe a little bit of lipstick or lip gloss, whatever I'm wearing, but I don't tend to ever need to touch up my foundation, my concealer, my mascara, anything like that, because I apply my makeup in a way that ensures that it will just last all day long and stay looking fresh all day long. And I've got a couple of products and tips and tricks here for you to make sure that your makeup lasts all day long and stays looking fresh and perfect all day long. Now my skin is very oily and it is harder to make your makeup last on oily skin, but making sure your skin is well prepared is absolute key. So making sure your skin's in good condition, exfoliate, moisturise, all that good stuff, just to make sure that your skin's in good condition. That way makeup will sit better on it and it won't cling to any dry patches or slide off if your skin's overly oily. Then in terms of what you use before your makeup, this is very important and it can determine whether or not your makeup's going to slide off. I really think that you should use the products that are right for your skin type. So for example, if your skin's oily, I use a mattifying serum and this is amazing. It's the Lily Fresh Farm oil-free conditioning serum, and this really helps to mattify your skin and gives a really great base for makeup. And then on top of that, I'll use an oil-free moisturiser. Obviously, if you've got dry skin, you don't really have to worry about this, because if you've got dry skin, then you don't really have that sort of problem. But this is my sunscreen and it's an SPF 30 oil-free sunscreen and it's by Dr. Orr. And I just use this all over my skin and make sure I use an eye cream and make sure my lips are really well exfoliated, and that way I can just get on to using my makeup. Then the most important thing you want to get right is the base, because if you get the base right, everything else just kind of falls into place, in my opinion. So using a primer is really important, and I've got two different types of primers here for you. Now, I know primers are very personal things. Some people love them, some people hate them. Some people like the water-based ones, some people prefer the silicone-based ones. I personally like the feeling of the silicone-based primer and I feel like they work better on my skin. So if you've got oily skin, this is the Cover FX mattifying primer with anti-acne treatment. This is really, really nice, really mattifying, and it just gives you a really smooth, fresh base for your makeup. And then if your skin's a little bit drier, then the Revlon photoready perfecting primer is a nice option. Don't wear this if you've got a really heavy, thick moisturiser underneath though, because this doesn't work very well layered on top of things. It works better on clean skin. So I don't tend to wear this during the day because I always wear an SPF, but at night time this is a nice one, and if you've got dry skin, this won't kind of exaggerate any dryness like a silicone based primer could do. Then when it comes to foundation, this is really, really important, and when picking the right foundation, a couple of key things that you want to remember are to make sure you're using a formula that's right for your skin, but also something that's quite long lasting. So I do have kind of a wardrobe of foundations. I've mentioned this before, and maybe I'll make a video about it. If you think that would be interesting, let me know. But I've got my kind of MAC Face and Body and Revlon Nearly Naked and those types of things that tend to be my weekend foundations that I use if I've just got to nip to the supermarket or just go out for coffee or that kind of thing, and I don't want to wear too much makeup but I still need something to look nice. I'd use those. But on a day where you need your makeup to stick around, you need something that is going to be a little bit more heavy duty. And when it comes to long-lasting foundations, the two most famous ones that you get are Revlon Colorstay. I almost blanked then. Revlon Colorstay. I know a lot of people love this. Miss Budget Beauty's always raving about it, and everyone I know loves this. And I do like this, but I just can't get over how unnatural it looks. I like my makeup to look very natural, and this doesn't look very natural on the skin, but it is very, very long lasting. It's the type of foundation that if you've got very oily skin, you won't need to powder until about 4 or 5 hours in. It's a very, very long lasting foundation. So it is a really nice product. It's just, it's not my absolute favourite. And then the Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is the Double Wear Light, and Double Wear again is very similar to the Revlon Colorstay in that it's not the most natural looking, but it is quite full coverage and it is very, very long lasting, and it will just stay on your skin and won't budge. And I've got a friend who is an air hostess, and she said that they always tell them to use Estee Lauder Double Wear because it just stays in such extreme conditions and it's very, very heavy duty. So if you want something like that, those are two good options. But my favourite long-lasting foundation, and it's my go-to foundation of the moment, is the Makeup Atelier, what is this called? The waterproof liquid foundation. Now picking a waterproof foundation is really interesting as well, because it gives you that kind of longevity and it's not going to wear off your skin, but it's not as matte and as unnatural looking. I've got it on my skin today. I don't know how well it's coming off on camera, but it's quite luminous, but it's not shiny at all. It's just got a little bit of a sheen to it, and it's very, very natural. The colour match of this is fantastic, and I really, really recommend this foundation. I'm going to do a full review of it soon because it is really, really nice, and I couldn't recommend it enough. It's great. Then in terms of concealer, I haven't got mine at hand because I've forgotten it upstairs, but making sure you're picking a long-lasting concealer is key. I obviously love the Collection 2000 Lasting Perfection concealer, and I use that under my eyes, and I found that using it with your fingers rather than a brush makes it last even longer and gives you a much better coverage, so that's something that you want to bear in mind. But when it comes to brushes, I definitely think that applying your foundation with a brush makes it last longer than applying it with hands. I don't know what it is, it's just something that I found. And my two favourite foundation brushes are the Real Techniques buffing brush and the Sigma F80 flat top kabuki brush. And I use this with the Makeup Atelier foundation and just kind of stipple it into the skin where I need more coverage, so down the centre of my face, and then buff it out, and it really, really does make a difference to whether or not my makeup's going to stay looking perfect all day. Then another key thing is to powder. Now the powder I'm using at the moment is this Savy mineral loose powder. I like to set my makeup with a loose powder and then touch up during the day with a pressed powder. But this is a really nice loose powder. It's not too finely milled. It's not as nice as the Rimmel silky loose powder. That's my absolute favourite, and I've been trying to get hold of it for ages, and no Rimmel stand near me seems to have it in stock ever, so I don't know what that's about. But this is nice, and make sure you kind of press it into the skin. I use a MAC 82 Kabuki. Is it 82? I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, the MAC Kabuki brush, just to kind of press it into the skin and then just kind of buff it out on my cheeks and that kind of thing, because it helps to really set your makeup in place, and it doesn't look powdery either. It's quite natural looking. Then what else have we got? In terms of eyebrows and eyeshadows and that kind of thing, to make sure my brows stay in place all day long, I like to use this, and it's the Essence Clear Mascara. Loads of brands do this. MUA's done them, Maybelline do them, every brand pretty much does clear mascara, cheap as chips. And what you can do with these is just brush them through your brows, and then you can just set your brows in place. So just brush them through and your brows will stay looking perfect all day, and they won't budge, and whatever product you've got in them will stay looking kind of fresher as well. Then in terms of mascara, waterproof mascara is the way to go. Nothing lasts as long as it, and it won't go flaky or anything. My favourite at the moment is the Maybelline The Rocket, what's it called? Volume Express waterproof, but it's one of those mascaras with a brush a little bit similar to the Max Factor False Lash Effect. That's what the brush looks like, and it's a really, really good mascara. It stays put all day long, and it's not too difficult to remove, which I like. Then in terms of eyeshadow, one thing I want to mention when it comes to making sure your eyeshadow lasts all day and doesn't crease or fade, using an eye primer is key, but also make sure you use nice quality eyeshadows, because I know a lot of people really like MUA eyeshadows and that kind of thing, and if they last on you, fantastic. But for me personally, I find that those types of things just don't last 2 minutes on my skin. I need something that's a little bit better quality, so Urban Decay and MAC are my picks. I prefer MAC eyeshadows to Urban Decay, to be honest, but my two favourite eye primers are the MAC Paintpots. This one's their Study, which is running out, and I need to repurchase some more soon, but MAC Paintpots are fantastic, and the Maybelline 24-hour colour tattoo. This one's on and on bronze. I wish they did nicer colours in these, because they are really nice quality. I wish they did one that's sort of bare study colour or like a nude colour, but these are both great, and if you apply something like this before you apply your eyeshadow, it will last all day. And then last but not least, we have got cheap products. Now there isn't really a key to making your cheap products last all day long. The only thing I've found is that obviously powders last longer than creams. But for example, the blush I'm wearing today is Topshop's blush in Pop, which is this one. And applying it onto the high points of your cheeks. So if I get a brush here, applying it onto the high points of your cheeks, and instead of kind of rubbing it in, just kind of dabbing it makes it last much, much longer. This is something that I've noticed, because my blush used to tend to sort of fade by midday. It doesn't anymore, and if you just get a little bit onto your brush, I'll get a really small amount now just to kind of demonstrate it. And then just kind of press it in to the tops of your cheekbones rather than rub it in kind of in circular motions. It lasts so much longer on your cheeks and it doesn't fade, and it just kind of stays put, which is really great. And then when it comes to lip colours, it is kind of true that drying formulas are more long lasting, and I don't like the kind of colorstay versions of lip products because I do feel like they are just very, very drying. But for something like this, which is the Collection Cream Puff Moisturising Lip Cream, lasts a really long time. You can just kind of apply it onto your lips and it doesn't budge too much, so that's really great. But things like matte lipsticks and amplified formulas last much longer than kind of creamy glossy finishes, which is just common sense really. But for example, this lipstick by MAC, it's Scarlet Ibis. This is a matte lipstick and this lasts really, really well on the lips. And then this is MAC's Chatterbox, and this is an amplified formula, which means that it's just much more pigmented. And is it? This isn't Chatterbox, is it? Oh, it is. I thought it looked a bit pinker. This is, yeah, MAC's Chatterbox, and it's an amplified formula, so it does last a lot longer because it's much more strongly pigmented. And then a couple of just kind of general tips for making your lip care last is making sure your lips are in really good condition. Moisturise, but not too moisturised when you apply the product, that way it won't slip around. And applying a lip liner is a great base, and something like this could be really good as well. This is the Revlon Just Bitten Kissable Balm Stain, and I wish they kind of did better colours for my complexion with this, but this is a really nice colour. This is in Rendezvous. But something like this is good because it lasts all day, but it's not too drying. So those are my top tips for making your makeup stay perfect and last all day long. If you've got any tips of yourself, then don't be shy to put those in the comments because I'm sure we could all benefit from them, and any other questions or requests as well. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye.